Hey everyone, hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back to a new video. So with the first workout of the week, the two kind of main goals that I had was to just get a lot of productive work in. I suppose that's kind of the general theme of doing a kind of program where you're tracking the volume and stuff. But the other goal for this workout in particular was to get some work specifically in the jerk. If I got work in other areas, like for this low hang snatch, that was a bonus, but I wanted to get some specific work with those. So for this first movement here, I just worked up on low hang snatches. I wasn't worried about doing a lot of volume because I wanted the focus of this workout to be on the jerks. So you'll see me continue just to take normal jumps from 90 here up to 100, up to 150 or 110 to 115, to where I missed 120 on the first one and was able to do it on the second rep. I was generally happy with the second rep and kind of just how the reps in general went. They weren't the prettiest, but they never are. And it's a difficult movement. But I've been focusing more on the low hang snatches and the high hang ones, at least in the last week or so, because I feel like it has a little bit more of a carryover and it kind of forces me to really focus on the bar path around my knee particularly. And I kind of just like how it feels from like a technical aspect of what you're trying to work on, just trying to keep the bar close and whatnot. It wasn't until about 115 where it started to feel heavy, and you really feel, for me at least, that it feels more difficult or heavy when you are bringing the bar down past your knee versus the initial pull or the snatch pull or whatever on the way up. The deadlift or the pull portion always feels pretty light, but that eccentric is where you kind of feel if the weight's going to be a challenging one or not. My best ever in this move, it's only 122, so I was pretty close to there, and I probably would have taken a crack at PRing if I hadn't missed the 120 on the first one, but to get up to 120 is good, and just want to build it to be a consistent number where obviously I'm not missing to get up that number, and then be able to hopefully push above that 122 and potentially, to 125 or 130. Obviously, increasing numbers and complexes will correlate pretty strongly to just the overall lift itself, especially for lifts that I'm not particularly good at, but I'm kind of getting them up there, which is nice. I then moved on after the snatch work to front squat plus jerk. The goal of these is to focus on the jerk, fatigue yourself a little bit with the squat, and then to do the jerk. But nothing that was too difficult till the first 140. I took pretty big jumps. I think originally I was going to take smaller jumps, but I was feeling like I was moving the bar pretty well, and honestly I would do pretty well to that first 140 where I definitely pressed out way too much. But then the second two front squat plus jerks with 140, I was able to catch or do the jerk a lot cleaner, so I was a lot happier with those, and that was just from doing a better jerk. It wasn't really anything fancy that I tried to do different. And sometimes it's just how it is. If you just try harder, sometimes the rep goes better. But got a lot, actually, good amount of front squats in, despite not doing a lot of reps, just because of the front squat plus jerks. So that here, I think it was much more like a footwork thing than anything to do with my upper body, but it is what it is. I was happy to be able to do it 3 times, and to then work up after that to do a jerk with 150. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do 160. After the 3 singles at 140, I tried 150, which I was pleasantly happy with. Then for some reason thought I could do 160, or at least could take a crack at it. I was decently close on the first one, but the second one, I was just too gassed at that point. Should have definitely taken a smaller jump, but it is what it is. You live when you learn, and it gives me something to push towards for the next week if I repeat the same kind of workout, just to get more work on the jerk. And successfully was able to do that, get up to 150. But the 160s, this first one, is decently close, but I think I would have had something like 155 much more convincingly than trying to attempt something like the 160. The second 160 kind of bothered my shoulder a little bit, but it wasn't really like one that was that close. And when I was doing these, the set of 100 after, I didn't have any discomfort, so I think it was just too heavy of a weight. But with the lighter sets, just trying to get that volume in and work on just moving the bar fast, I think we'll kind of have 2 benefits like that, to make sure I'm hitting the volume targets that I've set in individual workouts if I do kind of change things and make them go heavier, but it will also give me more practice of just moving the bar correctly and faster, which is obviously going to be a beneficial thing. On front squats, I really thought I was going to be able to do 175, and for whatever reason, when I went down, it just kind of crashed on me and flopped off, and I don't know, I think I was just tired. You can see it just wasn't even really close, but front squats will always come back pretty quick. I just have to make sure that I'm doing them more consistently than I have been. It's hard to really see here on the 90 kilos squats here, but I have wrist straps on, and that's just to get some front rack stretching while I'm doing these, and nothing really too radical with it. I'm just trying to get some volume in and trying to stretch. It's kind of nice with front squats. I used to do this a lot, particularly when I was first developing my front rack years ago, because when I first started doing front squats, even before weightlifting, I didn't have a good front rack, and it was very difficult to maintain that position. And then I went through a phase where I was able to have like a full grip on my front squats, and I even have like sets of front squats I would do with straps on that were pretty heavy. But then as my upper mass got bigger, then I wasn't able to have a full grip anymore. So I've kind of evolved back to the initial stages, I suppose. But it's not really a discomfort thing. I just have too much upper body mass to be able to have like a full grip for the most part. But doesn't really limit me when I'm doing jerks and whatnot for the most part. With these pulls at the end, up until 140, I did with no hook or no straps, just to do a little grip work, and just did doubles there. Nothing really that was too difficult, and I just want to remember to implement some of this grip work in just to allow myself to work on that, because it's something that isn't really, I don't think, that crucial, but I think it's something that is generally good to do, just to work on a weakness, which for me is definitely grip. Happy with the pulls, nothing too much to say about those. At the end of this workout, my accessories that I did were curl ups and dips. I just did 3 sets of 5 again. I was thinking about adding an additional set of 5 for both of them, but when I got to them, I was pretty tired from all the work that you saw prior, and just decided just to keep the workout the same, which I'm glad that I did, because they were definitely, it was like a good amount of volume. It was a good rep scheme for those. The curl ups, was odd because I didn't really feel a pump too much from them, but I felt like my muscles were still working. There wasn't any particular muscle group that was like, oh, this bicep is getting pumped or my back is really sore. It just felt like I was, working hard at them. And with my wrists, they were actually more comfortable. Sometimes in this, I think it's supinated grip, I'm not really sure the term, but sometimes that's not as comfortable in my hands. And for dips, they were definitely more difficult from I suppose, like pain tolerance. So it was like more of a stretch than actual work. And I was trying to be pretty controlled with them, just to make sure I was moving correctly with them. And definitely glad I kept it 3 sets of 5 here, because the kind of like stretch, I don't even know how to really describe it, but when you're going all the way down, and really just in that whole range of motion, it wasn't painful, but it was more just like stretching everything. And then when I was done, had a nice little tricep pump and a chest pump a bit. So I'm going to keep implementing these and just keep throwing them in. Hopefully add some more sets. I'm not really worried about loading these at any point soon, but at some point I might. But I want to be more concerned with doing them like twice a week and doing consistent with the reps and making sure they're kind of relatively pain-free before I'm trying to load them, because that's something that I get tricked into, or I trick myself into doing, is starting to load things when there's really no need. I mean, being 235 pounds, I have enough body weight to give myself a pretty good stimulus in body weight movements. But that's it for this one. So that was the first day. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and talk to you all in the next one. Peace.